Hello everyone, George Packard, Ron Matt Miller, and together we are George and Ron.
Hello everybody.
Today we want to talk about how to price residential jobs. First thing is what, Ron?
Well, number one, you got to go in there and you have to know where your profit margin is going to be. You have to know that. You got to figure out what you need to make on every single property before you're profitable.
Right. And also now it goes hand in hand with knowing your costs.
Exactly, yeah.
But the profit margin Ron's talking about was, we like to shoot for like a 20%. We don't always get it, but we certainly try for that. But go ahead, Ron.
But yeah, and there's the difference there is once in a while. I mean, there's properties that we might hit a 30% profit on. So it kind of averages out to where you're always okay, on your profits. The way we have things figured out, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of. And then that leads us to knowing your costs. So by that, you have to factor in all your expenses that you're going to have when you go on these properties, and you got to figure out, hey, I'm going to be there, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and you're paying your guys X amount an hour. All that has to factor in your fuel to get there, your insurances, any payments you have on any equipment or anything like that. That all has to get figured in, so you know what your costs are. Once you know what the costs are, then you want to make 20% on top of that, so now you know what your price is going to be, roughly, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So.
And also, you got to know where the market is. Certain areas, well, I shouldn't say certain areas, every area is different. But you have to know what everybody else is charging. You can, if you have a friend or somebody that actually lives in the area, just have them get on the phone and call up 2, 3, I guess you could probably call 10 of them and they'd show up just to give you a quote, just so you know what that area is paying for lawn care. But then again, you don't want to be the lowest guy, because if you can't make your profits, there ain't no sense in doing it.
Right. And if you have, what Ron's trying to say too is like, you don't want to be the low baller. So you don't want to come in and bid $20 to cut the lawn. Then you got guys that'll bid $30 to cut the lawn. And then you guys that'll bid $40 or $50. You want to be in that $40, $50 range. That's where you want to be to try and make money. So, and you have to see if, once you figured your costs in, and you put your margin on there, okay, can I compete at that level? Or do I have to change things down here? Do I have to move some things around to be more efficient? That's one of the ways you can cut back. I mean, the cost of your equipment and this and that, payments and fuel, you can't do anything about that stuff. But the things you can do things about is how fast you can do the work. So that's one of the reasons that we made our trucks as efficient as they are, and I think they're the most efficient on the market. I've never seen anything that's built like our trucks and that can be as fast as what we're doing it. Right. So they're very efficient. They zip in and out of traffic. So we did everything we could to, let's say, if every lawn took you, say, 10 minutes to get there, 10 minutes to do, 10 minutes to get to the other job, you got a half an hour burned up on each client. Well, now we can shave 10 minutes off that, or even 5 minutes off that, just by having that truck and being faster in and out of traffic and not toting the trailer on. You don't have to wait for 2 car lengths to open up. You can just, in and out of there. So take that times 20 properties a day and look how much time you save, and then you can factor that in.
That's very true. Another big factor is how far away the property is. I mean, you're probably going to have to, you're probably going to have to travel further than what you want to travel. But you still have to take that into consideration. If you got to travel 20 minutes to get to one client, that's fine, but figure that in your quote. Just don't be afraid to charge them because you have to go farther to get them. And eventually, once you get so far, then you can kind of fill in the gaps in between, but don't expect that. Just make sure you charge enough to make up, because there's no guarantee you're going to fill in that gap. But so that's what I mean. Make sure you have that in your quote, because travel time is a big thing. That's you're losing money every time you have to travel.
You are. But here again, if you're trying to grow a big business, maybe you have to travel if you're in a little town of say 8,000 people, you may have to travel an hour to get to the big city that has 100,000 people in it, but That's where you want to go. That's where you want to advertise, because that's how you're going to get a big business. You have to go where there's a big population. You can still build it in a small population, but it's going to take you forever to do it, and you've got competition coming in that, you know, if you're in a town like me of 8,000 people and there's already 5-6 guys doing it, you know, it's hard. The market share is not there. Now, I can take my same operation, move here to Florida, and I'm dealing with 500,000 people, and we can grow like crazy. We grow every day. And that's just the difference, you know, in the populace thing. So
That's true. Very, very well put, Joe.
Well, I know. And one other thing, just to add to Ron's thing about when you start out in those areas, yeah, you can't go there just because you had to go an hour away, bid the job. You can't raise them and say, I need $100 every time I mow you. You can't do that just because they're that far away, because they're never going to hire you for that. But you've got to figure, okay, if the going rate out there is $50 every time they get mowed, you're going to have to be in that ballpark somewhere. Okay, maybe $60, $50, some wherever, you know. Try and be in the top third, like I said. But you're going to have to be there. But just know over time, like I did down in Florida, there's a place called Sebastian that's like 45 minutes from us. And we had started taking jobs down there. And every week we drive up there for one job. Then it was 2 jobs. Then it was 3 jobs. The next thing you know, we got the internet rolling and got, you know, search engine optimized for the Sebastian area. Then the phone rang off the wall. Well, now we got like, I don't know, probably 100 customers up in that area. So, but it took time, you know, so, and you got to start somewhere. You can't just not go to that area because, oh, it's too far away to drive. And it's going to suck at first because you're going into that area and you only have a couple jobs or 1 or 2 or whatever. But that's why your internet marketing is so important, and your door hangers. Focus them in that area. Get work in that area to build more. And then, like Ron was saying, you're filling in the blanks. When you look at it as a whole, and you got a job over here, another one there, another one down here, all of a sudden, after your marketing and everything kicks in, all of a sudden you got little ones all over the place in between, and you can start connecting the dots as you make your route around everything. Do you see what I'm doing there, Ron? I can actually...
You can actually visualize the dots.
I can visualize see what I'm doing? What if I can
know.
just like George?
I don't really know, Joe.
No, that was that. Well, anyway.
Oh, another one to factor in is obstacles.
Yes. Yep.
Some people might, oh, this is a good one on the phone. Well, I don't have much grass to cut, but, you know, they might have 15 different flower beds, and they got a patio out in the back, and they have the driveway and the sidewalk and the street, and you got an edge and weed whack and all the trees and you know,
fences. If they have a fence, if they don't, if you got to trim around the fences. Sorry about that.
Oh no, that's fine, George.
You know, they're just all obstacles. They could have sidewalks in the back of their yard that you don't even know. That's why I'm not a big fan of that bidding jobs just using Google Earth.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a big fan of it. We do it from time to time for numerous reasons. Like if we, I don't know, if we're like the other day, we were extremely swamped with work. We couldn't get away. A call come in, and it was like an hour from here. And because we're completely on the opposite end of our work of Brevard County, and this call come in way over here. So we're in Rockledge. It's in Palm Bay. We're like, oh Christ, you know, we're lucky to have an hour left of daylight, and we got to try and finish this job. So we Googled it because we don't want her to call anybody else. So we Googled it and tell her what we told the customer.
Well, we Googled it and said, well, you know what, we have a lot of properties in that area. We know what the size of property, we know the average property, and we don't even have to come out and look. We can give you a quote right over the phone. And
because we have dozens of customers in your neighborhood.
Exactly. And, you know, normally they're fine with that.
Yep. And she was. And we gave her our standard price for that area. Right. Mm-hmm. And then when it came time to mow it, tell them what we found, Ron.
Well, it was a whole different story. We got there and we was like, well, actually, the guys had already mowed there. Right. We had to go there to do some other sprinkler work for her and other stuff. And we're like, boy, this is a big yard.
And we bid how much?
Exactly.
So we're like, okay, we mangled that one.
We did.
Yep, but that doesn't happen very often. No. Normally we can get it pretty close. Yeah. And the only thing you're worried about most of the time is it an inline lot or is it a corner lot? Because corner lots are more money because you just have more space you got to take care of.
And the reason we didn't catch all this is because she had a lot of trees in the back.
Right.
And then there was a small canal that you couldn't see the canal, and you couldn't see where her property fence was behind her house. So it threw us all off. But
Right.
well, we know where it is now.
Yes. Yes, we do. And we're going to be mowing her for a break even at best.
Yes.
But she's one that's going to have to get raised quickly.
Yeah, I know.
We'll
probably wait a week or so. Yeah.
Week or so. Make her fall in love with us, and then
Yeah.
be like, that cost insurance.
Well,
just
I
went
don't
through
know.
the
What
roof.
was that guy's name to give you this bid?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not Ron. No, that must have been George.
No, it must have been George.
No, I'm George.
Oh,
Ron gave you the bid.
Had to have been Ron.
Yeah.
Wasn't George. 'Cause that would have been me, and I was not here. So, anyway, moving on. Here's a big thing. Always when we look at residential accounts, we look at the person we're going to be working for. If we show up on the job and it looks nice, the place looks really nice, like it's been taken care of, and we look at it like, well, whoever was doing this really did a good job. And we get up there and they're upset about the way it looks. They're upset about the way he edged, or upset because not all the grass is blowed off the sidewalk, or something. There might be a blade of grass in the swimming pool. Those are telltale signs. You better jack your price, because this guy's going to be a pain in the ass. We have guys that come out and watch us every time that we're there. You have other customers that come out and talk to you every single time you're there. And sometimes you don't know these things. Like, there's where, like, every year we kind of review where everybody's at and with our profit margins on the businesses of the different customers. And we may come to one where we know Mrs. Jones comes out every single time we're there and wants to talk for 20 minutes. Takes 10 minutes to do the property, takes 20 minutes to talk to her. It burns up a half hour of her time. Now, we didn't know that when we bid the job, so we bid it, we thought it was accordingly, and now we found out she's a very talkative person. We love her to death, and that's great. You're going to have that. But again, next year when I view this property and we look at the profit, we've got to jack it up a little bit. If you're going to be there and you know she's going to come and waste 20 minutes of your time every single time you're there, might as well get paid for it. I mean, don't stand there and just not get paid, because time is money, and it's all about being efficient. So.
And you don't want to. I mean, because there might be really nice people, but, nice don't pay the bills.
Right. So anyway, this was another somewhat exciting edition of In the Cart with George and Ron.
Yes.
See ya.
Bye.